Hello everybody and welcome to Books with Ike. My name is Isaac and today I'm going to be doing a book haul. I would call it a mini book haul, but it's not really that mini, so I'm not quite sure what to call this video. I don't know, something to think about. Anyway, I have 10-ish books to show you, so without further ado, I'm just going to get on into them. And I would usually do a book haul in the order that I got the books, but actually I want to start off with my most recent purchase, and that is Weavers by John Walker. And the reason I wanted to start off with this is because John Walker is a friend of mine who I met sort of through BookTube, basically through BookTube, but not our own channels. And I'm going to link a video that John did, which is an introduction to this book, and I apologise to him in advance for butchering the synopsis of this, probably. This is set in an alternate universe where the dropping of the atomic bombs in Japan sort of unlocked magical ability in people, I guess. And basically these people who are called Weavers have the ability to control the elements by infusing it with their essence, and they're called Weavers because they sort of weave their essence into the elements. You know what, I'm just going to read the back cover for this because I am not going to be able to give a proper synopsis. I can't do that until I've actually read the book, which I haven't done yet, and I want to do this proper justice. So this follows Vin, Matt and Amber as they go into their final year of high school. Each must face a culmination of social and familial expectations, while also coping with past losses. A devastating event throws them down a path that tests their bonds to family and each other. As their dreams of the future start crumbling, they must deal with their individual traumas to help save a lost loved one. With a friend in need, they will risk it all to protect the ones they cherish. No one is a lost cause in this story of friends and family trying to weather an unthinkable storm. And I am not just promoting this because my friend wrote it. I actually do think it will be a great book. I was really interested by everything about how he pitched it to me, and I read the preview and it was really intriguing, and I definitely want to read more. I'm going to get around to this very soon. And yeah, if you want to pick this book up, I'll link to its Amazon page. The next 4 books I actually bought a while ago. I think it was in May, or maybe June, can't quite remember. And I got those then because the first one had just come out in the UK, at least in paperback, and that was The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. And this was one of my most anticipated books of the year, and it took so long for it to come out in the UK, or at least in a way I could buy it off Amazon. But this is a YA near-future romance, and it follows 2 boys who are the children of astronauts who are about to go on a mission to Mars, and there's like a reality TV element to it and a social media element. I don't know, it sounds really good and really cute and fluffy, and I want to read it. It got some bad reviews, I think, which does make me a bit apprehensive, but I still plan to read it. I try not to let bad reviews bother me unless they're like really awful reviews. And the other 3 books I bought at that time just, I think, on a whim, and let's continue in the same vein. The first of those was Hello Now by Jenny Valentine. This was also one of my most anticipated books of the year, and I thought it would be like a big release, because it sounded like it should have been, but it only has like 20 reviews on Goodreads. So yeah, I think this is technically a novella? I'd say that's a novella. And this is a YA sci-fi / fantasy romance about a boy who is a time traveller, and every so often he just wakes up in a different place and time, and he's gotten used to this, and then he wakes up in this town and he starts to develop a relationship with this boy, and he doesn't really want to continue with his time travelling, but he has no control over it. At least that's what I think it's about. I could be totally wrong. I know it's time travel, but I could be wrong about what capacity the time travel is in. And sticking with the romance vein, another one I got was A Destiny's Bastard by Hank Edwards. And this is not marketed as erotica, So when I opened this book to read the first sentence out loud to myself, which is something I like to do, I was a bit taken aback that this opens on a sex scene. Not that I mind sex scenes, I just wasn't expecting it. And this is another time travel romance. So this is about a knight who travels far into the future and appears in the ruins of the castle he lived in, I think. And in both time periods, he has a love interest who is a man in both. And I think there's like some evil man stalking him? I don't know. It sounds really great, and I can't wait to read it. And the last book of that group I got was Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. And this is an adult high fantasy about a girl who is a thief, I think. And it's set in a world where the magic system is based on programming reality or something. And like you can change something's properties by writing code on it, or something like that, which it sounds really interesting. And yeah, it follows a thief who steals an ancient artifact from a heavily guarded warehouse. And I believe it's sort of steampunky, and it's probably a 5-star prediction, I think. It's definitely one I'm looking forward to. After that, I got myself a Doctor Who book, and that was Time Worm Revelation by Paul Cornell. And anyone who knows about the Virgin New Adventures series is going to be watching this video thinking, why have you bought the 4th book in a series? 'Cause I wanted it. I saw it going for comparatively cheaper than it normally does, and I wasn't going to pass up the opportunity to get it. And that being said, I paid more for this than I care to admit, considering its size, but it is a very rare and very beloved book. And yeah, this is the 4th book in the Virgin New Adventure series, which follows the 7th Doctor and Ace, and this is the final part of the Time Worm arc, which was the first arc of the Virgin New Adventures, obviously. The Time Worm arc is about a creature called the Time Worm, which lands in ancient Mesopotamia and pretends to be the goddess Ishtar, and this has nothing to do with that. Basically, none of the books do except the first. The Time Worm is the main villain of the arc, obviously, but the ancient Mesopotamia stuff, not important. The Time Worm arc gets very mixed reception. The first book is hated, the second book is liked, the third book is supposed to be okay, and this book is supposed to be amazing, or at least incredibly imaginative. And probably the first book to actually take advantage of the fact that this is not on TV, that this is a book and you can do whatever you want with it. At least that's how I understand it. Obviously I can't read this yet. A lot of people would say yes you can, it doesn't matter, they're all very loosely connected, you don't need to read the first 3 books. To that I say, yes, I do. I need to read the first 3 books. I'm a completionist. I have to read everything in order. That's just what I do. But they're out of print, so the authors and the publishers aren't getting any of the money that you buy them for. And I do kind of really want to read this, so I might just find a PDF of the first 3 online. We'll see. Next I have a couple of new-ish releases. One of them was a new release when I bought it, and the other one I hadn't realised had been released already. Neither of them are completely new releases, because of course they were released in the US first, but I waited and waited for The Fascinators by Andrew Eliopoulos to be released. I don't really know what this is about. I know it's gay, I know it has Raven Cycle vibes, so that instantly sells me on it, and I don't need any more. And the beautiful cover is also a bonus. I don't know, it's probably atmospheric small-town fantasy, and I'm into that. And the other one is The Fell of Dark by Caleb Roerig. And I really need to read Caleb Roerig's mysteries/thrillers, I'm not sure which they are. They could be both, obviously. And I also don't know much about this, other than it's about gay vampires. And I have been craving a gay vampire story for like a year now. This probably won't have the tone that I want, which is the sort of classical, sinister, seductive, sort of horrific tone, rather than sweet romance or, I don't know, steam, but I don't know, I'm still into it. And lastly, I've got a couple of things that my brother got me. And he went to a sort of an antique shop, I think it was a nerdy antique shop, and he got me a couple of things, and one of those is Daredevil, The Man Without Fear, issue 29, by Mark Waid, Javier Rodriguez, and Alvaro Lopez. And yeah, this is a Daredevil comic, and I've already read it, and I loved it, and I want to read the rest of this run. And this was about a white supremacist organisation infiltrating the American justice system. That's very relevant right now. And he also got me Doctor Who magazine, issue 177, and this is the September 1991 issue. And I have not read this, but I did read the comic inside, which is part 3 of, I believe, The Good Soldier. Yeah, The Good Soldier. And it obviously didn't make any sense to me, but it was really creepy and intriguing, and I want to read the rest of that comic, so I'm probably just going to get the graphic novel that includes that comic, but I might get the previous 2 issues and the next issue, maybe. I'm probably just going to get the graphic novel. Hello! Isaac from A Bit in the Future here, to say that that was in fact not the last book of this book haul, because I pre-ordered the Waterstones exclusive edition of The Lost Book of the White by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. Now, I was going to do a bit where I looked at the original cover and said it didn't look right, and then flipped the dust jacket around, because it's got a reversible dust jacket, but I filmed that, and my hair looked truly unacceptable. So, that little bit is gone, unfortunately, because I'm not bending the dust jacket back around. It took forever to get it right. This is the second book in the Eldest Curses series, which is part of the overall Shadowhunter Chronicles, and these books follow Magnus and Alec in the various gaps in between the series. The first one took place in between the 2 halves of the Mortal Instruments series, and this one takes place in between Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy and the Dark Artifices. And I can't say much about this without spoiling loads of the Shadowhunter Chronicles, so I'm not really going to, but I will say, if you didn't know, the Shadowhunter Chronicles is about half-angelic demon-hunting warriors called Nephilim, and these characters are from the first series, the Mortal Instruments series, which is about a girl called Clary Frey, who is a witness to a murder that no one else in the room can see. As with the first book, The Red Scrolls of Magic, this is a very nice looking book. It's got this very nice white and blue scheme to it. I would have thought, given the cover, they could have dyed the pages red or black, but I don't know. And if you wanted to see the original cover, it's there. It looks quite good, but it doesn't match my copy of the first book in the series, so I switched it around. And I prefer these covers anyway. The funny thing is, the realistic covers for these are some of the only good-looking realistic covers for the Shadowhunter Chronicles, so it's a bit ironic that I must hide them away. I've actually already finished this book, and I really enjoyed it, and I will talk about it in probably my next wrap-up, but if not, the one after. I also have The Binding by Bridget Collins, and I have this because I was looking for specific editions of books that I wanted, and I found this one for £5, which is an absolute bargain, because it's got a really nice cover in general, it's got these cool end pages, and the actual cover looks like this, and that was only £5, which is crazy. So, The Binding is about a bookbinder who binds people's memories into books, and so people who want to forget things go to him to bind their memories into books and forget things, and then he finds a book with his own name on it, and so it means that one of his own memories has been bound, and he wants to find out what it was. This sounds really amazing and I can't wait to read it. And I also have Swords Point by Ellen Kushner. And I don't really know what this is about, I just know that it's one of the earliest, most well-known, well-regarded gay fantasies. It's blurred by George R.R. Martin, so that's cool. And I think it's about a duelist who kills somebody that he shouldn't have. And he's like well respected, and then he kills someone, and then everyone turns on him. Or something like that. But yeah, that's another one I can't wait to read. I also went into town recently, and because I was there, I went to the bookshop, because you do that. And I got another 4 books. I intended to get 3, but one of them was buy one get one half price, so might as well take advantage of that. The first one I got was Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. And this is a YA contemporary romance about a gay kid who has an online relationship with a boy over the summer. And he thinks they're in love, but then once the summer ends, the other guy completely ghosts him. And then he moves to a new school, and it turns out that the guy he was online dating also goes there and is deep in the closet. I imagine it's probably going to be a pretty cute, fun time. I also have Havenfall by Sarah Holland. Sorry for the creaking of the chair, by the way. So this is about this girl who lives in this magical hotel, which is like a crossroads for 3 different worlds, and it's a safe haven for people from all of those worlds where they can just live safely, but then someone gets murdered, and so the girl, Maddie, has to solve the mystery, and yeah, it's like a fantasy murder mystery with different worlds. Sounds good. I also have The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, and this is about the crew of the spaceship who are I think, ambassadors to different worlds. They build gateways to different worlds, and they're going on a journey to this world which is known for having a really aggressive warlike culture or something. And that's really all the plot, because this isn't really about that. This is sort of an intimate character drama about the people of the ship and their secrets and things. It's very highly regarded, and I've been wanting to get into it for a long time, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. And finally, the last book I got was Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is an adult high fantasy set in a world inspired by 1920 Shanghai, I think. But it's all about the different gangs / mafias and the conflicts between them. And in this world, jade is what gives people their magical abilities. And then a new drug is developed which allows anyone to wield jade. And so this sort of sparks a clan war between the 2 major families of the city. I've heard amazing things about this, it sounds amazing, and this is very high on my priority list. I plan to get round to it really soon. As is becoming a tradition with these more mini book hauls. I know I said this isn't a mini book haul, but this is the second non-special event book haul I've done, and in the last one I did an unhaul, and I'm also going to do an unhaul in this one, and I'm unhauling the Magisterium series by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. Yeah, my editions don't match, but that is not why I'm unhauling them. I'm unhauling them because I read the final book, The Golden Tower, recently, and I hated it, and it kind of ruins the entire series, so I don't see a point in hanging on to these. You'll hear more about why I hated this in my next wrap-up. I'm not going to mention any months, because I don't know which months will be in it. But yeah, it was really bad, so I'm going to get rid of the series, because there's no point hanging on to it. So yeah, those were all the books / bookish type things that I've obtained since my last book haul. I'm going to put this down because it's super heavy. If you've read any of those books, I'd love to hear what you thought about them, so please leave that in the comments below. And also tell me about any books that you've obtained recently. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter or add me as a friend on Goodreads if you feel like it. Links to both of those in the description. And I will hopefully have another video up soon. hopefully is definitely emphasised this time around, because I'm going to uni in a few days, so I probably won't have as much time to film, if I can at all. I do hope to film some videos while I'm there. But until then, thank you for watching. I've been Isaac, and this has been Books with Ike. Goodbye.